Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back, Criminal Mischief Nation, to another bonus episode, number 132, by the way, of Criminal Mischief. Criminal Mischief with Carolyn and Branden. I am Branden, your co-host. I'm here, as always, with the great Carolyn Sorio, who is gracing us again with her presence and her intelligence and her wonderful podcasting skills. Hello, Carolyn. Nice to see you again.
Ooh, you're like, let's groove tonight.
Yeah, right?
Ready to go.
I'm ready.
You've got a couple of little extras in there,
Yeah.
my incredible podcasting skills.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
It's all true. It's all true. How was your week?
It was good. It was good. As I mentioned, my husband was out of town, and you're like, "Oh, so did you party?"
Party?
Yeah.
Party?
With the kids. Yeah.
Party like it's the early 90s again? Hell yeah.
What? Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah. Can you even like?
Oof.
Yeah.
Trying to forget. Yeah, I know.
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that triggered something. Jeez. You're blushing, I think. Oh my gosh. I don't. Wow. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good. So
yeah.
Cool. Family's good?
Definitely, yeah. How about you? How you doing? How you doing?
Yeah,
How
good.
You doing?
Looking forward to, I got a little bit more travel coming up, and then, looking forward to summer. The kids are looking forward to summer, trying to figure out what camps, they're going to do, and maybe doing a big family trip this summer, which will be great. So,
yeah. Where do you think you guys will go?
We're trying to make Europe work. We've been planning it. We've been wanting to do it for a long time. First, the kids weren't old enough. Then, the sports stuff, everything was kind of getting in the way. And then money was a thing. And it looks like everything's kind of coming together this year, where we could probably put a lot of it on on credit card points, and make it so, and really do it kind of the way we want to, So I think we're going to do it.
Yay. Well,
Yeah,
good.
it's looking good, like to the point where, we got the passports renewed and stuff. So we could, yeah.
Good.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Good. Good.
Yeah. Um, Ow. Sorry, I'm okay. I love this episode, and for several reasons. One, my old boss created the show Manhunt Unabomber. That was out several years ago with that great actor.
I know Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington played Fitz, but who played the Unabomber was
yeah, that guy is so good
the
at
English
it.
guy.
He's so bony, and like his nose and just the whole thing. You know what?
I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Hold on. Forgive me for going on my phone for a second. Paul
It's
Bettany. Sorry, Paul Bettany. He's
yeah,
he's amazing. He's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And far too pretty to play the Unabomber, but he pulled it off because he kind of disappeared he disappeared kind of into the labyrinth of the evil genius of Kaczynski, like really, really well.
He
Yeah.
embodied it.
Yeah, he really did.
It's funny because when I was talking to Fitz, I had forgotten that I'd watched it. And
Oh,
so
really?
then, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so then I went back and watched it and was like, because he was such a he was such a really interesting person. And it was kind of like he and his buddy have a podcast, and it's called
Yeah, Cold Red or
yeah.
yeah.
And so I was interviewing both of them at the same time, but it was like, anyway, so there's more on the horizon with his buddy, who's also very accomplished, and I don't have my notes in front of me, but anyway, I went back and started watching it again, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I'd watched this.
Yeah.
And Yeah. So it was
So good. It was
interesting.
just so good. And Bettany and just the way they did it and Fitzy playing a kid from Philly, and because with linguistics, and do you remember where it went? Remember, I mean, of how he pronounced the word water.
Water. I
Water.
know. I
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to include it, but I didn't know if it because he said it was like 85% accurate. So I'm like, okay. And I totally was like, so remember that moment.
Yeah. It was
What do you, I want to hear what you think about that moment because I have something to say about that moment. What do you think of the Wooder?
well, totally true, right? Totally true. Where I grew up in Jersey, in North Jersey, people think that Jersey people have these crazy accents, and sometimes you hear it in me, but
Oh,
actually,
not sometimes.
right, but that's more, it's not really accent that you hear. It's kind of cultural kind of attitude because accent wise, North Jersey is fairly accent neutral because we're surrounded by, an Eastern Pennsylvania accent, a South Jersey accent, and all these different New York accents that
Mhm.
kind of all cancel each other out in North Jersey, right? So, um, but knowing people from all of these places, you get an hour south of me, and the word wash has an R in it. It's wash, right? Which is fucking weird, right? And then you get all the way down to Philly and it's not water anymore, it's wooder. But you understand it and you're like, oh, okay, that's how these fucking weirdos talk, right? I'm kidding. I love Philly. It's the fighting city of Philadelphia. I absolutely love it. But so I just found it so intellectually interesting watching
No,
this,
totally.
right?
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
one of my best friends is a very he's a very arrogant intellect, right?
Oh my
He's
gosh.
super smart and he hates more than anything when he's wrong about something.
Oh,
He
I'm so
hates
surprised you guys are
and I
buddies.
love him to death. I love him to death. I do. And here this encapsulates his entire personality. We're at the gym, okay? And he's in the industry when we would go to the Hollywood YMCA, there's a ton of actors that were there all the time, right? And he recognizes a guy in the boxing gym, in the boxing ring, okay? So in between rounds, he goes up to him, he goes, "Hey, nice to meet you. It's I forget the name." He goes, "It's Jim, right?" And the guy goes, "No, no, no, my name's Mark." And my friend goes, "Are you sure?" Like
Oh my God.
seriously,
Just
like
walk away. Walk
like
away
he
at that point.
seriously asked the guy, "If you sure you know what your name is?" Like that's the intellectual arrogance that you come with. And I've broken his balls on that for 20 years. Okay, it's fucking hilarious. All right, but he's also vulnerable he's disarming and he's funny and he's a great dude. But so how it relates to this is
Yeah.
he thought that the eat your cake and have it too was a writing device, was a plot device that the writers made up for something which is feasible to think about. Like we need
Yeah.
more on this linguistics thing, and the showrunner goes, "Guys, come up with something." Okay. He was positive that there's no way that the actual way to say have your cake and eat it too is eat your cake and have it too. And he found out that he was wrong about that. That the original phrasing of that idiom was eat your cake and have it too. And that the only one more intellectually ignorant than him was fucking Ted Kaczynski, okay? Making sure that he used it properly and that wound up being his downfall. And so it got so annoying because then anytime someone said it incorrectly in his presence, he would correct them in a really douchey kind of.
Is this the guy that co-produced it?
No, 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 no.
Or
This is totally different.
this is totally independent.
Totally independent of this. It's just
Oh
this little
my.
morsel of, wow, I know something that so many other people don't.
So
And
what would
I'm
you
going
do?
to
Just walk away?
and I'm
Or
going to correct them. It was,
would
but
you
that's just how. But so many things about this uh story like stand out in my mind. Like, do you remember the movie The Insider, the
mm,
Russell Crowe Pacino
hmm
movie?
hmm
Remember how
hmm
the third act, how it ends?
I don't remember how it ends, but go ahead.
So Al Pacino plays a 60 Minutes reporter, right, who's trying to get this guy to be a whistleblower on the tobacco industry, which he does, and it's great. And then at the end, not at the very end, but like leading up to the end of the movie, Pacino is in some diner in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the woods, and he's talking to a couple of guys, and he goes, "What are you guys doing out here?" And they're like, "Oh, we're the road crew. We're burying like phone lines." Pacino like goes, "You don't have the hands for a guy working on road crews. Like, well, what are you guys doing here?" And he knew that they were FBI, and he was trying to break the Unabomber story because it was the
Mm.
same producer who broke the tobacco story that broke the Unabomber story for 60 Minutes. So it was just a nice little kind of tie-in about how big of a journalist like this guy was. So that was
Whoa.
great. Yeah, that was great. And I remember more than anything, I remember the case breaking. I remember the helicopter shot of them lifting the shack out of the woods because the whole shack became evidence and they brought it to like that hangar for the FBI. So yeah, I've got a lot of fond memories and interesting kind of connections to just the experience of the Unabomber case. Yeah.
I really wasn't following the Unabomber that
Mm.
closely. Like I remember just kind of him being unearthed from this cabin and like this is the guy.
Yeah.
But it was like I wasn't knowing every single thing about it, and it was kind of like I don't know, when these types of crimes are just so, I mean, all crime is obviously terrible, but just the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like and then to find out in talking with Fitz that he believes that Kaczynski was an incel before,
Wow, before it was
you know,
cool.
the
Sorry. He's the OG incel. Like before it was fucking cool. Kaczynski was the incel, baby. Yeah.
yeah, the
And listen, he wasn't trying to make it any better. Okay. He could have done something with his hair, maybe not lived in a shack without plumbing in the middle of the
I mean, it
fucking
was
woods.
so weird though, because like, and I don't know if this is true from the Manhunt Unabomber bomber
Right.
or the reality of it. So I don't know. But like they were watching the cabin and he wasn't coming out. And his
Right.
whole thing was about being in nature and like just like,
Yeah,
"La,"
he didn't come
and
out
it's
for that.
like he wasn't going out. So like he was imprisoned in this cabin. And it's just
Yeah.
like the jail cell, because he had told his brother, like, I can't believe you did this to me. And, you know, um,
Right.
nature is everything to me. It's like, no, you being it's like the guy who built the bunker, you
Sure.
with all these delusions of grandeur.
Yep.
And then to find out at the end, like, I didn't know at the end, my final question was like, oh, well, so he was a poser then, is what you're saying. And he was like,
And he goes, "Ooh, that's one way you can put it." Yeah. Hold on, I'm making notes so I don't forget points that I want to make, but I'm still listening.
no,
Yeah.
that's totally fine. No, I just was like, he was angry at his parents.
Yep.
All these things come down to this, the human beings, just twisted. It really didn't have anything to do with his thoughts because he stole them from someone else.
Well, okay, sure, but that doesn't mean that you're not a convert to it, right? Because they said there's no zealot like a convert, right? Like he could have been a student of these teachings and adopted them and internalized them on his own. I mean, that's like the history of communism or any great like political movement. It's usually not the person who has the original thought of it. It's the converts that come in and pick up that mantle and make it their own, you know?
I know,
So
but he
I
wasn't
don't
giving
doubt.
he wasn't giving the credit to he was
No, that's true. That's true.
espousing them as if it was his own.
Yeah, that's true. I don't doubt his conviction, to be honest. I don't doubt his conviction against technology and want because he was obviously very smart and some of his beliefs really echo like some of the founding generation of the United States. Like Thomas Jefferson envisioned America exactly the same way that Kaczynski did. Okay, as a nation of gentlemen farmers, okay, with zero to no, I mean, little to no central government at all. That the only role of the government was to negotiate foreign deals and to declare war. Otherwise, leave us the fuck alone, okay, and make sure that our country is safe from invaders, and we'll just be very, very sparsely populated, right, living in these farming communities. That's how it was envisioned, but not like these massive population centers and all this and the strong central government, like all of that. So Kaczynski turned that kind of on its ear with his beliefs, and meaning like let's get back to that through violence and through terrorism, which is never a good way to fucking do things, although it's been effective in the past. But
Well, what I think was interesting is that Fitz was not looking at anything from within the manifesto in terms of his politics. It was all about let me find these breadcrumbs of the way that you say things and your
yeah,
spelling choices and and I just found that to be absolutely completely fascinating because it makes sense and I'm surprised that it took this case 1996
yeah.
to be used forensic linguistics. Like,
And you know how hard it was? I'm going to get to that. That was one of the notes that I just wrote down. And that's something that the TV show Manhunt Unabomber really focused on, I think, in the third episode, really, really well. But we'll get to it. So, um, the main reason that I knew about this is because my father was a pilot, and United Airlines like made a plea because they were the biggest airline at the time. They made a plea like we could be targeted, right? If you don't negotiate with this guy. Okay. So and my dad was going up in a United Airlines jet every day for work. Okay. So I was really interested. And one of I don't know, it's so weird things that stick out to you, but um I remember reading about his first victim, okay, where it blew up in the person's hands and their hands were damaged. They weren't killed. And one of the things that the person had to live with the rest of their lives was that his right hand lost the ability to think. And what that meant was if you reach into a pocket full of coins, your hand can differentiate between a quarter, a nickel, a dime, and a penny without having to look at it, just by how they feel. And
mhm.
that was one of the main uh, long-term injuries that the person sustained. I don't know why I remember that.
How did you remember that from like
I
night
don't know.
from
I
like
read it. I
1978?
read it 30 years ago when I was reading about the Unabomber, and that stood out. Yeah. I don't know why, because
I
I'd
mean,
never
I think that that's it. I
it
think
just
that
anchored in my
details.
brain because right away I tested the theory. Right away I put coins on my desk and I closed my eyes and I went, wow, I could totally my hand is thinking right there. Yeah.
I think that like that anchor point in your mind is why I wanted to have the one of the victims' loved ones describe kind of
Mm,
what they went through because the bombs that you kind of get glazed over and I don't mean to. I didn't want to, but like
mm,
without those specific details of like what that was anchored in your mind because just like how messed up is that? You can't put your hand in your pocket and get coins. Like the simplest things that we take for granted,
sure.
is like how you remember. And I think that that's the thing with me with not really giving a shit about his manifesto is that I think about the people and I know you do too. Obviously, 30 years later, you're still remembering,
Yeah.
the fingers being blown off. But like everything he has to say gets lost in the way that he went about doing this. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like it doesn't even matter to me. I don't even give a shit about what he thought, you
Yep.
know?
Yep. Yep. And what they did really well was they really focused on how difficult it was for Fitz to get the warrant based on the linguistic similarities between his earlier writings and the manifesto. Right? The
Hmm.
judge was like super like, man, because
Hmm.
judges don't want to get overturned. Okay. And
No.
and they way if you remember the way that they did it, they had the whole area staked out, like surrounded, and they're like, he's gonna come out any fucking second. He's going to know we're here. He's going to start destroying evidence. Like, we have to go in the next like 2 minutes. And he's on the phone and he's waiting. Is the judge going to sign off? And I don't know if they did that cinematically or if it was actually that, but either way, it was pulled off really well where it landed with how difficult it was and how important the warrant was. Because then they go in there, they get the warrant and they get him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they still fight it. And there was this great scene where Paul Bettany as Kaczynski is explaining to Fitz, I'm basically free because everything that you have is, and he explains the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine and law, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
warrant was bad, so then anything that the warrant found is gone, and and Fitz was terrified that he was right, you know,
Well, what's interesting is that it wasn't that he was just only terrified that he was right, but it gets back to the water. It gets back to Philly. It gets back to
right. It's going to
feeling. I
test the
feel like
whole theory of
I know, but
linguistics,
it's not just that. It's his whole self.
everything.
Whole self as an imposter, as someone who feels like, I mean, look at his path. Like
Yeah,
he was a beat
he was
cop.
a
I mean,
beat cop, and then
he
gets
was
invited to Quantico. I mean, it's talk
I,
about a late bloomer. It's amazing,
I
and
know, but a lot of the times when you get into those situations, you get into those rooms. I mean, we've been talking about imposter syndrome
yeah,
for
sure, sure,
recently,
yeah.
right?
Look,
And it's like,
his work was either going to blaze a trail for a new methodology in forensics, right, with linguistics, okay, and he was, as a result, was going to put away one of the most notorious criminals in U.S. history, or he's going to look like a fucking idiot,
I
you
know,
know?
but you know what? And this is how I think they did such a good job.
Mhm.
That push pull that everybody can relate to. I don't know if this actually happened. I feel like he had to fight for credit because especially like and this happens a lot in law enforcement. I've seen it myself where
Yeah,
people take credit,
that they don't deserve.
blatantly rip it off. No, that they don't deserve.
Yep,
And they rip it off.
stolen valor. Yeah, sorry.
But it's like depending on what job you're doing, that's it is like stolen valor.
Yeah,
And then you thinking, how much do I fight for this? Because I'm doing it for the good, right? I'm doing
yeah,
it for the greater good. And what's my ego involved in it? And then also with like him being slammed, like Chris Noth did that so well. He
yep,
was he was like, and how he was like made fun of and I don't know how real that was,
right.
but like how many times have you that story just never gets old to me.
Yeah,
Like you're going up against this and you're going up and you just believe in it, almost to the point of insanity where people you start losing your credibility and
yeah,
you still stay the course. And I don't know if he lost his family, but anyway, it's just whenever you're doing something new,
yeah.
and he was with forensic linguistics,
Taking a
and
risk.
it took a lot of courage to do that. And
Huge
I
risk.
don't think they would have found this guy,
No, I don't think they would have either. I don't think they would have either.
you
And
know?
it was, they went against the grain so many ways, like negotiating with the terrorist, releasing the manifesto. But and he said, I loved all the 12 Angry Men reference, and you called it that an old movie. Gosh, and it's old, but I don't like thinking of it. It's Sidney Lumet. It's
Okay, it's black and white, but it was like super intense. It
I
was
know it's
so
from the
funny.
50s. I
I,
know.
I,
I just don't like
okay,
thinking of it as all. I
okay,
know, but I'm just being
okay,
honest with you.
okay, okay.
And I
And it,
love that he slowly turned these other five guys because I think that they realized we're looking at it wrong. Don't look at it as we're negotiating with the terrorist. Look at it as we need to get this out there. We don't want him to know that we need to get it out there because we want other people to pull on this linguistics thread. We need to like crowdsource this arrest is basically what they were doing.
I know, but you
Yeah.
know how dismissive people are. Somebody who has an
Right.
English lit degree, right? It's like, oh, what are you going to do with that?
No, yeah, but not
Communication
even that,
is
Carolyn.
so. I
Not
know,
even
but
that. What about the people, the legacy police officers who it's carved in stone? We do not negotiate with terrorists, period. Right?
yeah,
Unwavering. And that worked for us for a really fucking long time. but it's like convincing them to look at it a different way, where you're not going against the orthodox, that the orthodoxy, or the these carved in stone kind of, I'm missing a word here, but whatever, that
They're
it's
etched
okay.
in
This
stone.
sacred cow can be slain in honor of a new way of thinking that we might be able to use in the future, right?
I know,
And
but that goes against, it's like the 12 Angry Men.
sure, it
It's
goes
like getting
against it
them
until
to,
now. Now it becomes a Trojan horse, right?
yeah.
Now it becomes, you don't know what we're hiding on our side by agreeing with what you want us to do, right? Okay, so that was the genius of releasing this, and it worked.
It freaking totally
It
worked.
worked.
It worked.
It worked
It
in a way
absolutely worked.
that Fitz didn't know, because his brother saw shit, and it got his
He,
brother to fucking turn him in.
oh my, he had to, Brandon.
Of,
Are you kidding me?
oof.
Don't even tell me about your
Ooh.
brother, your Jersey brotherhood. Come on. He had
Listen,
to do it.
I would sooner of mice and men, my brother, than turn him into the cops. You know? I'd fucking Lenny my brother and shoot him in the woods, right? Then turn him in. Do you know what, Kaczynski went to the fucking Supermax prison in Colorado? All right. This case also led me to read up on the Supermax prison,
That's
which,
so crazy that you would Lenny your freaking
and
brother.
I would want him to Lenny me also. I would demand, if he knew I was doing something like really fucking bad, and it was either I turn you in or we go on a fucking boat ride. Yeah, I'll take the boat ride. I'll get
Now I'm
Fredo.
like thinking of the mouse in Lenny's hand, like that.
It was a rabbit, but yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, that's what would happen. That I'm serious.
I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
That is so you'd rather go to jail for the rest of your life to protect your to protect
No,
your
no, listen. Listen. George didn't go to jail for killing Lenny, right?
okay.
At least Steinbeck didn't
Okay,
put that in
we're
the
talking
epilogue.
fiction. You're a real person, right? Are you a real person, Brandon?
In my mind, this scenario has me not going to jail. In my mind, the scenario has me
You can you have
doing
to
it in a
be
way where I don't get caught. Okay, that
okay.
just
Ted
putting that out
Kaczynski
there.
is your brother. You no, seriously, I want to know what you would do in the real world with real consequences.
I would do it in a way where I don't get caught. I might even do it in a way where
You
I
gave
gotta.
up your DNA in Clark County Sheriff's Office within 5 freaking
I
seconds.
already have it on file. No, it would be like one of those things when I was doing season 3 of Devil, right? Where I was talking to an FBI guy that you set me up with about how the FBI reached out to the 5 families in New York when the Son of Sam guy, when Berkowitz was killing everybody. And they said to them, hey, listen, it's hurting your business, it's hurting our business. If maybe any of your soldiers happen to see this guy on the street, do what you do and we'll look the other way, kind of thing, right? So in my Lennying my brother kind of situation, he's a bad guy. I take care of it. I save everybody a lot of time. And they're like, oh,
Oh
we don't
my
know what
gosh.
happened. He just
You
disappeared.
suddenly, whenever you do this, you instantly turn into Robert De Niro. Every time. Every, I wish, well, we're recording this now, so you can see what you do.
I don't do anything.
You get real close,
No, I don't.
and then you have that. I can't, I'm not going to try to do it because I know you'll make fun of me, and I can't do it, but you just do this,
No, I
and it's
don't. No,
so
I don't.
funny.
No, I
Yes,
don't. It's not
yes,
true.
yes.
So that's what would
Anyway,
happen. I would get away with it. It would be an agreed kind of thing. That so yes, I would prefer that than than fingering my brother in open court and saying, yes, this is him and this is how it is. And it's too much. It's too much. And he lived with the guilt forever. He wrote his brother for 25 fucking years. Forgive me. No.
I know.
Okay. So look at that.
And
Saving everybody.
did his brother hold a grudge?
Of course.
He even filled his commissary.
So just read up on on where Kaczynski lived for 25 years in Supermax. Okay.
He was living, have you not seen that cabin?
Supermax is worse than the cabin. The only difference is that he has a toilet in his room, but otherwise, it's all concrete. There's nothing. It's just a
No, but
concrete
he was,
box.
that's what he was to me, he was a prisoner of his own mind and he did it to
Sure.
himself.
Sure. Until you go to Supermax, where you're in your cell for 23 and a half hours a day.
Okay, well,
And it's a
he didn't come
concrete
out of
box.
that. He did
You have a,
not come out of the cabin. I don't see him frolicking through the woods.
you have a
I
two
see
inch
him going
mattress.
hiking. What?
You have a 2 inch mattress, 2 inch thick mattress. It's like a toilet sink combo. Okay. You can barely take 4 steps without hitting into a wall. You stretch your arms out if you're tall enough like him and you touch both sides. I mean, it's
And he absolutely deserves
100% deserved.
every bit of it. And I wonder, he was so stubborn. It's like, did he have any regrets?
Mm.
You know?
I doubt it. His hubris would probably prevent him from having regrets. That's what I think.
I think you're
Because he thinks he's
absolutely
right.
right.
He thinks he's right. He
I
thinks
mean, the
that
fact that he would send a scathing letter to his brother when he tells them, "Hey, I'm getting married," and he's like, "You're making the biggest mistake of your." I mean, just it's all about
we
him,
we know
you
people
know?
like that though, right? Like
Yes.
who think, I mean, in a much more benign kind of funny way. Uh, one of the and no one's gonna know who it is because both of my kids play on teams, and one of the moms on one of the teams over the last 3 years. So really getting very non-specific. There was a mom who thought she had the answer to everything. To everything. Okay, even if you didn't ask. Okay. Oh, I saw one of your daughters skinned her knee. Here's what you get. Here's how you do it. Here's how you apply this balm and for how many days. And then when you're done, you do that. And I'm like, first of all, I didn't ask you. Very kind of you. Thank you. Appreciate it. The first 19 times I got 3 pages of unsolicited advice, I was very, very nice about it. But then it's like, then when you get into travel, well, here's what you do, and you go on this one, and you go to this website, and you find this, and da 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 da, and like nobody's fucking asking, okay? And
Yeah.
so with Kaczynski giving that unsolicited advice to his brother about getting married, and da 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 da, like all of this kind of stuff, it's like there's no reasoning with that with a person like that. There's no
There's
like,
not.
there's no telling them I don't agree with it. What do you mean you don't agree with it? I'm right. It's coming from me. I'm right. There's no agreeing or not agreeing. It's
Well, and that's why the incel thing, when Fitz said that, and we talked about it when we were talking about potentially Brian Koberger, and just that mindset. I can't I that mindset is so difficult for me to deal with or get or understand. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I don't want to because it's like that's someone who's so shut down, they won't listen to anything anybody else has to say and then blames people and doesn't work on themselves. I mean, the whole point of life
Yeah.
is to make mistakes, learn from them and grow.
And
You
share and
know?
have fun and yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I know.
And to never to know everything and
So
be
what
right.
is
And
it?
I mean,
So let's analyze him a little bit. Like, was he like? I mean, do you think? And you always give me shit about this, but do you think there was like some psychosis in him? Do you think there was any mental disease?
I
You do.
definitely think, yeah, I do. And I think
Not
that
not
he,
just arrogance or narcissism, which obviously he had in spades,
no,
but like
I think that he did.
something clinical.
And then there was also that I didn't even get into this, but that MK Ultra thing, which I don't know if how true that was or accurate, but like, yeah, I think he was let down. And I think that um I definitely think that there was some mental health issues going on there. And he never, and I think this is true. So again, I don't know, but it sounds like, he remained a virgin his entire life.
Wow.
Like, can you imagine not having any intimacy with anybody like your entire life? I can't, I mean, I think I just,
And not
you
a
know,
priest, and not a
huh?
and not as a priest. So he's not like chilling with Jesus the whole time and making it.
I mean, this is what he had. This is what he made the focal point, anger, rage, you know?
He thought he was a revolutionary, right? He thought he was going to make the world a utopia that only he understood, and none of us were smart enough, or to understand
I know, and
right
that was his downfall.
the
So you
righteousness
need to
of
tell
his
your friend
cause.
to be
Right,
careful. Be
right.
careful of being a
Yes,
know-it-all.
the righteousness, right? That's poisonous sometimes.
I mean, look at the loyalty that his brother had to him, had for him.
You mean other than when he cost him the rest of his life in jail? Other than
He
that, the
caused it
loyalty?
himself. He put him in an
Kidding, kidding.
impossible situation. I can't even go there with you because it's like, you know what? You know, he put this poor man, the brother, in this position for the rest of his life.
Mice and
His
men.
selfish.
Mice and men.
I know. I think that's funny that you're like, I'm gonna Lenny him. It's like I knew immediately what you were saying. I was like, I can,
Look out over the water, George. That's where we're gonna farm.
oh my
That's where you're gonna
God.
tend the rabbits. Really? Lenny, sorry. Look out over the water, Lenny. Okay, George. Bam!
I know, but is your brother a real Lenny?
Of
Can
course not. No, of course not. What I mean is I will take care of the job rather than because
I
Lenny,
know, but that's the
George,
thing.
George loved Lenny, and George knew Lenny would get eaten alive in prison. Okay. I don't think my brother would get eaten alive in prison. I just know that that's no life. So to prevent him from that, and I would want that, listen, I would want the same thing for me. You got to Lenny me, Carolyn, all right?
You
If I'm
know,
going down and if you have the choice of like, I can either give Brandon up to the cops or Lenny his ass, Lenny me,
I
okay?
mean, now that I know what your choice is, I will try to the dude abides, but
I have a deal with my brother-in-law that if either of us are ever on life support, that we pull the plug because our family members won't have the balls to do it. Okay. And
yeah.
it's so funny. And we agree, we shake hands on it. And then like 5 minutes later, he comes back over. He goes, you agreed to that really quickly. He goes, just get a second opinion. Don't just
You know
do it
what's
right
funny?
away. Like make
It's funny.
sure
This
that
is
there's
a total generalization,
yeah,
but like I judging by what you're saying and your brother-in-law and my husband, that's
yeah,
my group. That's
yeah,
my control group.
yeah.
Like there's like a weird fantasy that you guys have with like just take me out. I'm going to take myself
And
out.
and and be and
But
you know what? Because it's a courageous thing.
But you know what?
Like
I've
I will be there.
actually let me tell you something,
Yeah.
okay? I have actual lived experience with this.
Yeah,
My
me too.
mother-in-law had that same kind of philosophy. I'm sure that's where my husband gets it. I
Yeah.
mean, she would have never wanted to go out the way that she did. She
Yeah.
got dementia and
See?
she
Fuck.
fought like she became this total, I mean, I my heart goes out to her because on so many levels because it's like if she knew what actually she became,
Right?
she would have just been
There's no dignity in
destroyed.
it.
No, I know.
And we
But I'm
weren't,
just
we
saying,
weren't, we weren't, we didn't evolve for that. Like just because medicine can keep us alive longer doesn't always mean that it should, right?
yeah.
Like what kind of life? Isn't it in your state, maybe Washington, where you could go up there and end your life if you have like terminal disease?
I
It's
mean,
one of these Northwest.
I think it's you're thinking Canada. I think you can do it in I don't
No,
know if you
there's
can do it up
somewhere.
here.
I think
And I
it's
think they can
I think
do it
it's
in
Oregon.
Europe.
I think it's Oregon.
It might be Oregon,
I think it's
yeah.
Oregon. Okay.
Whatever happened to Kevorkian?
Hey, he was a trailblazer, you
I know,
know?
whatever is he like did
I'm sure I think he was older back then. I think he's probably
okay.
gone by
Yeah,
now.
I'm just saying like there's this thing where it's like you think that you would just be like I'm gonna go do this for my family and all that stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, you really don't know what you would do. You know what
I
I
know.
mean? Depending on what the situation is.
I know what I do.
Oh, look at you fantasizing about it now.
I know what
Why?
I would do. I'm not going to put
What
anybody through it. Yeah.
what do you mean you know what you would do?
I know what I would do. I have someone in my life, a couple people that won't let that happen. that won't let the fucking breathing machine and the tubes and, people sitting at my bedside for months or fucking years. You know what I mean? No way. No way. Yeah.
I know, but the thing about like Alzheimer's or something like that, boy, we're getting morbid again.
Yeah,
Like
I know. I know.
I,
It's great.
I just remember I'll never, ever, ever forget this.
Mhm.
But like my mother-in-law was on dialysis, and I think that
Mhm.
increased. That's when it really started getting bad. And I would take her, it's like when Sophie and Amelia were little, and it's like three days a week I would take her, And afterwards she would only eat tacos because like it's just weird, right?
Tacos are
So
great.
we'd go to the drive-through, I'd get her the tacos,
I had tacos
and
with you in Oregon. They were awesome.
uh,
In Portland.
okay, listen.
Oh,
So
sorry.
then, so then, speaking of like the losing your fingers and not having control of the change in your pocket, she would talk to me and she would put the taco like this, but she wouldn't be able to get it into her mouth.
No.
And she kept trying to chew it, and it was just the saddest,
See,
most, I know,
I don't want to not be able to eat a fucking taco.
I
Tacos
know,
are delicious.
believe me. And I get it. I
Okay.
understand. And I hope that, you know, people
It's all
can
gonna
make
be in my it's all
choices.
gonna be in my will. It's all gonna be in all of that. Don't worry about it. I got it taken care of.
I'm okay. Okay. Well, you had just a look of extreme pleasure at the idea of you taking yourself out. So I
Yeah.
had to like,
Rather than be a burden, 100%.
yeah,
100%. Yeah.
I get it. Well, I'm
Great.
glad you enjoyed the episode.
I love everything about this. This should be like, we should do a whole series about the whole Unabomber thing. I really, I find it just a fascinating piece of police, investigative history in terms
I
of
know.
the United States. It's great. He was such an enigmatic figure for so long, right? And then the person, most people would have least expected, this guy Fitzy coming up, bootstrapping himself up into the upper echelons
I
of,
love
of, of the
that.
FBI, creating a whole new way of investigating someone, and it held up in court. Holy shit, right? Got him. It's such a great story from top to bottom. So
I
well
mean,
done.
it truly is. I
Yeah.
completely agree, and it was great. It was great chatting with him. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I can
felt
tell you
like,
enjoyed it. Yeah.
yeah.
All
It
right, well,
was.
Nation, that's it for us now. If you liked the episode as much as I did, because I fucking loved it, share it with someone, and read Fitzy's books, and do some of your own research on the case, because it's fascinating, and find out about what. Go watch Manhunt Unabomber. Go,
Go watch it. And here's the
yeah, Center of the Mind.
Center
Right.
of the Mind.
Yeah.
I actually got the wrong book. He's like, it's like a series, but it's coming of age, 1950s to 1970s. So it
Oh,
didn't
so you missed
get
it.
to,
Yeah.
I missed it, but
Yeah.
I tried to get his book. Okay.
Yeah, and read up on the Supermax. Like just about everything having to do with Kaczynski is you won't be bored. Anything that you read up about it, from his life growing up, his crimes, the chase, his eventual capture, the trial, his sentencing, where he lived, how he died, like all of that it's super fascinating. So go check it out. And while you're at it, go over to Apple Podcasts, rate and review the show, maybe leave a comment over on Spotify, check out our videos. Videos are now up on Spotify, videos on YouTube.
I think let's see, I think like 32, Brandon does his dinero. He's doing it again.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay.
Great.
Anyway,
And Carolyn, anything you want to add?
no.
Great.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. Thank you.
Bye.
From Pie in the Sky Media, Criminal Mischief is an EVO production, recorded live in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Brandon Morgan and myself, music by Soundstripe. For EVO Creative, I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host.